If a man loses everything, this is what he is left with. A wealthy Roman military officer found himself in search of a new home after years of fighting on the battlefront. He decided to move to a land accessible only by sea, so he ordered his ship to be prepared and made ready for the voyage. The ship waited at the port for days as preparations were made. Crates of silver were carried aboard by dockhands with bent backs and scarred hands. Chests of fine cloth were wrapped and sealed. Jars of oil, carefully corked. Tools, instruments, provisions, all catalogued, all secured. Boatsmen called out to one another as they readied the ship, tightening rope and hastily moving across the deck. When the final chest was lowered into the hull, the military officer stood at the edge of the dock and looked at his ship with contempt. As he boarded, he peered out at the water. It was calm. The wind was steady. The sky was clear. Nothing warned him of what was about to come. Dockhands could be heard shouting as the sails were unfurled. Then the ship eased forward. Minute after minute, the shoreline grew thinner, eventually vanishing. For a full day, the sea remained peaceful. The ship cut cleanly through the water. The cargo lay silent below deck. Then, on the horizon, the color of the sky changed. At first, it was distant, a dark line of grey clouds and white flashes where blue once rested. Then the wind shifted. The storm did not announce itself. It arrived violently. As the sky turned black and rain poured down, waves struck the hull with enough force to crack beams. Deckhands screamed over crashes of lightning and devastating waves. The mast groaned, ropes snapped free. Below deck, the cargo broke loose. Chests collided, crates shattered. The Roman military officer, no novice to naval excursions, left his quarters and looked upon the chaos on deck with little expression. The ship filled with water, faster than hands could bail. The sea did not discriminate. Then one swift wave, the size of 10 palaces, crashed over the ship, and every man aboard was swallowed and pulled under by its crushing weight. Soon, the ship was underwater. Within seconds, a lifetime of treasure had vanished. The Roman military officer, now underwater and disoriented, slowly found his way to the surface, where he swam to a large piece of splintered wood from his ship, which he clung to not by strength, but by endurance. Days later, after the storm had calmed, a merchant vessel spotted him drifting. They pulled him aboard. They gave him water and checked him for injuries. Nothing remained. No cargo, no ship, no home to return to. The man was left at the nearest port. When he stepped onto land with nothing but the clothes he wore and the breath still in his lungs, he stood at the port, silent. He had survived. And survival, he believed, was enough. What he realized while floating in isolation for days was that attachment to material things is fleeting. Whether lost now or in death, they are finite, and their importance is irrelevant. Once he understood this, he became free from the world and its entrapment in material objects. From then on, he carried this lesson and was grateful for the storm, because in its crushing rage, it set him free. He endured the loss. But the loss ended there. The Stoics taught that nothing external truly belongs to us. Wealth, status, even health. These are not possessions. They are loans. To attach your peace to what can be taken is to surrender your soul to chance. The wise man, they said, travels light. He anticipates loss before it arrives. He accepts pain before it demands acceptance. He chooses reason over reaction, and in doing so, he becomes unshakable. Christianity does not reject this Stoic lesson. It completes it. Scripture agrees that wealth is fleeting, and warns that many people value possessions above God, turning them into idols and making them their sole purpose in life. But when you realize that one famine can ruin your crops, one thief can steal your gold, or one wave can sweep all your belongings into the sea, you understand how flawed this mindset is. To put your faith in material objects is to put your faith in sand, hoping it won't run through your fingers. This is why unhappiness and despair so often dwell among the wealthy. Their faith is in money, investments, and bank accounts instead of God. The world teaches us to constantly chase wealth until we idolize it. But if we detach from it and pursue purpose and attachment to God, meaning returns to our lives, and we become free. When we escape the rat race the world imposes and instead build lives worth living, material wealth becomes a blessing rather than a burden because we are following the path God intends for us. Replace attachment to material objects with purpose and attachment to God, and see how your life changes for the better. I urge you to use this story to look inward. Ask yourself, if you were to lose everything today, would it affect you, or would you stay unmoved?